Hi, Clouds. Welcome back to the other side of the turf, episode 2. It's just me today, but we've got plenty to get into today. If you missed episode 1, make sure to check it out. And hey, if you want the latest Burnley updates, tweets, content, follow me on socials at TrueBlueCloud. Let's get straight into the match week breakdown. So it was another tough outing at G-Tech Stadium on Saturday where we lost to Brentford 3-1. I thought the performance was quite upsetting. We at least wanted to get away with some points. Our schedule coming up is manageable, and I feel like there's lots of points we can take from it, including that Brentford match, where it was very disappointing to be fair. And three or four on the trot now. It's not looking great for Burnley and Scott Parker, and it has put pressure on Scott Parker and probably the players as well. So it was another tough outing, but we did have a key bright moment at least. The penalty, Anthony made a driving run to the box, took on his man, and got clipped. The penalty was earned. Up stepped Fleming, and honestly, what a beautifully taken pen. Calm, composed, sent the keeper the wrong way. That was the moment Burnley actually looked alive. For a second, the tempo lifted, confidence rose. Yep, and for a second we thought we were back in it, and then all of a sudden, straight away, Twanzebe penalty to Thiago. Thiago puts it in the back of the net, and we're back to 2-1. It wasn't nice at all to watch. Quick note on Hannibal from the previous game as well against Brentford. There was a clear chance where he could have taken an open shot on goal. Instead, he tried to go down for a penalty, which was clearly simulation. And this is the part that worries me about Hannibal. He's a very good, very smart player, very techie player, and he knows where to position himself, how to pressure the man on the ball, and he's a good asset to have, but he needs to focus more on getting himself out of trouble, let's put it that way, which he's managed to do a few times this season, and he's still in the hot water for the Leeds situation earlier this season. So it is a concern, and it's annoying because he's a great player and he should be starting really for us. But when things like this happen, it's hard to put that trust in the player that they can go out there on the pitch and give it their all. The referee wasn't fooled at all. He got a yellow card for diving, and Burnley lost a huge opportunity to score, which is the most important part. Parker commented on it and said that from his first reaction, he thought it was a clear penalty because he had no other reason to believe that it wouldn't be because it was an open shot on goal and he's gone for the dive. And yeah, Parker was frustrated about that. Not only costed us a goal, but they also put the player at risk of suspension and affect the team's momentum, which ultimately it did. Outside of that incident, the game was slowly slipping away. Brentford capitalised on our mistakes, and once the legs went, the defensive shape collapsed. The second goal was the turning point, and from there, it felt like the match was out of reach, really. I was watching, and you just couldn't see anyway. We looked tired. We looked like we didn't want it as much as them. In that first half, though, I thought we put in an amazing effort, and we really did show that we wanted to be there and be the better team. But in that second half, it just went downhill, except that Fleming goal. Yeah, that was disappointing. That was disappointing. That takes us to segment 3, where I'll pick our standout and poor performances from that game. So, standout players, I'd have to go Josh Cullen and Florentino. Always Mr. Reliable, breaking up play, keeping possession ticking, dragging the team forward. You can always count on those two to put in a full 90 minutes if they're required to. Passing's usually at least 90% from those two, and the amount of defensive work that those two put in together really holds our midfield together. And I think they'll be important for us for our match upcoming against Crystal Palace as well. I really, really do. I thought Esteve was solid in our first half. Really, all of our defense was solid in the first half. We held the line really well. No matter how many chances they had, we didn't give them anything. I thought Dubravka played well. He was coming off his line, grabbing balls. He did coming off his line, grabbing balls. He did coming off his line, grabbing balls. Bruh. Came down to it. He did, and he took the responsibility and came out. But unfortunately, after that first half, fatigue set in, and the team started falling off. Press died, intensity dropped, and pretty much everyone else looked 2 steps slower. That's when the game changed. I thought one of our, let's put it, not so great performers that match against Brentford was Kyle Walker. It's not usually something I would say. He's been amazing for us this whole season, don't get me wrong. So I can't judge him off this one performance, but it's just when we really needed him to stay strong for us at defense. He just made that slight error where he should have really tried to clear his lines instead of boxing out or trying to draw a foul. I'm not sure what he was trying to do, but it did not help at all. And Thiago got the penalty and took a straightforward one. And that's the moment where the match really slipped away from me. And we'll go into segment four then, the tactical breakdown. Tactically, it becomes clear what Burnley's issues are. We're the lowest shots in the Premier League. We're 20th in the league for that, so last. We've been also lacking creativity in the midfield, but I don't blame that because we haven't had much attacking threat this season, which brings me to our point. We need a new striker. We've been looking for a new striker. Not sure if Scott Parker's going to get the go ahead to spend some money on someone like Josh Sargent in January, which would be very, very nice. We'd like to go on a fast break, counter attacks, and that can leave us vulnerable defensively. And it has done plenty of times this season where we go on a counter attack, they get the ball right back, and we're exposed in our defense and they score from it. And also, I think just generally speaking, our last 15 minutes, or our second halves even from this season have been pretty shocking. I'll get the stat up, but I'll put it down here. But I think it's been at least 10 goals against us this season. Like games against Liverpool, Man United, West Ham. There was Watford, but we were lucky enough to score. There's been plenty of teams where we've conceded in the final 15, and it's just something that we need to touch up on, I think. And Scott Parker needs to have a chat to the lads and work on playing a full match, not playing 45 minutes, not playing 60 minutes, because that's not going to win us games. What's going to win us games is a total of 90 minutes of us putting in work, doing a good job, and getting results is the main thing, which we need to do. I think it's 3 or 4 on the trot now that we've lost, and that brings us to Crystal Palace at home, which will be interesting. We'll get that a bit later on in the episode, but it'll be an interesting match. That brings us to segment 5, where we're doing the fan reactions and social media roundup. Let's check out some of what the fans have been saying, because some of these comments say everything you need to know about what is going on in the inside of Burnley. This is coming from vitalfootball.co.uk. Some of the fans are writing, Parker will be more than aware of this, with or without the backing of the club's hierarchy. Burnley and Parker need more points before January, or this could get sour fast. That article there, it really makes sense, and it really is, depending on these next 6 games, how we can really judge where we're going to finish. I can practically tell by the end of this 6 match scheduled game whether we're going to be in the relegation come end of the season or we're not. If we can fight and manage 2 victories, I think we're doing exactly what we need to do in that sense. But we need to pick up points nonetheless, and that's a given. We have to if we want to stay in the Premier League. If not, we can keep bouncing up and down leagues. But personally, I don't want to. And this one's from Burnley Ace's social media account, saying a lot of Burnley fans on social media wants Parker to be sacked. It's happening as the talks here. And this one here, this is after the Chelsea game. This is from AOL.com. Burnley fans' take on the game. Paul said very poor. Chelsea were the worst team at Turf Moor all season after the Clouds. There for the taking, but Burnley had nothing. Scott Parker out. So here's the question for you, Clarence. If you want my take on it, I disagree that he should be out. He is one of the best managers we've had in the past 2 decades, really. Scott Parker, Sean Dyche, I think those are the two. Considering the amount of financial help we've got, of players we can bring in, we're doing absolutely phenomenally. I wouldn't fault what Scott Parker's done so far this season. I think he's done a magnificent job, and if we keep up with this, if we steal a couple games in the next 6 matches, we're looking good. We're looking good. We need to steal some points. I think against Crystal Palace will be a very important one. So that takes us to the next fixture, Crystal Palace defensive matchup. All right, Clarence, looking ahead to Crystal Palace, here's the big visual to focus on. Check out slide 1 here on your screen. This is the central concept, staying compact in the middle. Burnley's central midfield and back 4 need to stay tight, forming a solid block. The idea is simple. Don't let Palace cut through the middle, force them out wide, and make it predictable for our defenders. You'll see this shaded area on the slide where it has the danger zone. That's where we have to protect at all cost. Now, while that slide shows the central compact shape, there's more going on verbally that we need to cover. Tracking the wing backs, Palace wide players and overlapping fullbacks can create dangerous overloads if unchecked. Burnley's wide defenders need to communicate and stay alert if we're to prevent some wing backs coming through and leaving us exposed. The crosses and set pieces also, we can't be leaving open zones in the boxes and that back post, which we've conceded from quite a few times this season. The midfielder intensity, Cullen, Florentino, Ugochukwu need to press early, disrupt Palace build up before it becomes dangerous. and staying focused late. Burnley has a habit of conceding the last 15 minutes, as I've touched on before. We need to maintain shape, concentration until that final whistle, and counter-attacks. If Palace commit players forward, we've got space to exploit. Quick, smart transition can be the difference between the points and heartbreak. So that's the key takeaway. Slide 1 visually shows our defensive spine, compact discipline, central. Everything else flows from that. If Burnley execute this, we can limit Palace's threat and give ourselves a chance to control the game. What we need to change, that takes us to segment 7. If Burnley going to stay competitive, something's got to shift. We need more creativity. A January signing, someone like Josh Sargent, we've been looking at. My wild one on episode 1. If you haven't watched it already, I've said Irukunda, he's an Australian. That was kind of just a biased Australian look. He's a 19-year-old. I think he would make a competitive job at Burnley. I think he would go for relatively cheap as well. He's up and coming. I think he's got a lot of talent in him, and with a change, I think he could actually do really well. So that is someone to look at. I think substitutions need to be earlier. There's been times this season where Scott Parker's brought on a player like who we need late in the game, like Hannibal. He's brought him on from the 85th minute, 80th minute, where realistically they should have been brought in 70, 65, 75, and they haven't, and it's costed us points. It really has, which has been disappointing. And we need to give certain players more minutes and bench some others. There's been moments like Jaden Anthony. I love him to bits. He's been amazing for us at the start of the season, but recent form is just not, he's not there. I think giving the likes of Edwards would be nice. It would be nice to hear more, a bit more about Michael Tressor as well. Where's he gone? What's going on? We've seen his ability. We've seen how good he can be. So tell us the truth. It's not fair that they just keep blindsiding us with this. I don't know. Right now, we're a team that plays well in moments, but not long enough. That's what's killing us. So, in summary, versus Crystal Palace, expect a compact defensive battle, but also look for Burnley to hit on counters. Discipline, focus, and fitness will be key. We need to avoid the mistakes that cost us against Brentford and make sure our standout players carry the team in crucial moments like Joshy Cullen, Fleming, Ugochukwu, Florentino, Esteve in the back line, Walker with his experience, Hartman with his talent. We've got talent. We do. We just need to utilize it and be 90 minutes ready, not 45 minutes ready. All right, Klaus, that's it for today's solo episode. It'll be nice to have someone on the podcast next time. We've got a few lined up, so please stay tuned for that. Thank you for listening, hanging out, and joining me through the highs, lows, and the frustrations. It's been mainly frustrations recently. If you enjoyed the breakdown, the fan reactions, and the tactical chat, make sure you follow, like, and share the pod with another Burnley fan, because I'll be back next week, hopefully talking about 3 points instead of heartbreak against the Palace. So come on, Burnley, and thanks for watching.